Can I walk you through a fake trade I made? LeBron and his son go to Cleveland.
What if his son is like, actually, no?
Does he have a trade veto? Utah gets Darius Garland and Rui Hachimura. The Lakers get Kessler, Lonzo Ball, Jordan Clarkson, and John Collins. Utah has to throw a pick or two, has to sprinkle some picks around because ultimately they're getting Darius Garland. I just am on the record. I don't think Cleveland should trade Darius Garland. But I'm just saying, like, I wonder if those types of deals are being talked about. The whole reason I'm talking about this is I think this is going to be really hard now that he's opted in for any other outcome than he's just on the team doing the, I don't know, we'll see what they do. I'm monitoring it. It's like, okay, glad you're monitoring it. Like, we're not going to be able to get a center. Like, do you want us to trade 2 unprotected first rounders for Kessler? The Lakers have Luka Dončić now. Why are they doing that? Like, they're in Luka mode now for the next 10 years. How do we build around Luka? So it's really awkward. I'm surprised it's not a bigger story. I think this is pretty strange.
If you compare his situation to Damian Lillard from the other day, Dame gets cut, and because the Bucks made the incredible move to waive and stretch him, he could sign for a minimum right now if he wanted to with any team. So now, basketball-wise, a guy like Dame can go wherever he wants. When you make $50+ million, it's just not that easy. And so you might have a laundry list of teams that would love to have LeBron on their team, if it fit into what they were doing. But because, of that contract, it's not very doable. The second apron realities of this CBA make it incredibly hard because even if you're below the second apron, the first apron comes with all kinds of restrictions. Once you get above the second, like Cleveland, for example, then you can't even aggregate players in a trade and figure out, how to move him and maybe have a swan song back in Cleveland with the Cavs. There's all these different rumors that have been flying around, the Cavs, the Knicks, the Spurs, the Warriors. But when you really slow down and start breaking the mechanics of it down, it seems really unlikely. I do think, at least as of now, the smart odds are on him staying put with the Lakers.
The air inside the Los Angeles Lakers practice facility felt heavy, like a storm waiting to break. Whispers had been swirling for weeks, rumors of blockbuster trades, shifting loyalties, and the most unthinkable idea of all, that LeBron James, the face of the league for nearly 2 decades, could soon be wearing another uniform. And now, with Luka Dončić in purple and gold, the whispers weren't just speculation anymore. They were reality. Luka was here. Luka was the new face of the Lakers. And LeBron James, the man who built an empire of basketball dominance, wasn't taking kindly to being pushed aside. Practice started like any other. Shooting drills, conditioning, scrimmages. But the tension was undeniable. LeBron's eyes never left Luka. Each pass, each step-back jumper from the Slovenian star was like a dagger. Luka, with his effortless swagger and unshakable calm, looked every bit the franchise centerpiece the Lakers had wanted. And to the front office, that's exactly what he was, the future. But to LeBron, it felt like betrayal. For the first time in years, the Lakers weren't building around him. They were moving on. It started small, a simple pick-and-roll drill. Luka called for the screen, slipped into the lane, and scored with ease. The coaches clapped. Teammates nodded in approval. Luka jogged back, calm, collected. But LeBron's face told a different story. His jaw clenched, his hands on his hips, watching the coaches shower praise on the 26-year-old phenom. Bronny, standing on the sidelines, saw it too. He knew his father. He knew the fire boiling beneath the surface. And sure enough, it exploded on the next possession. LeBron demanded the ball. He barked orders, motioning for Bronny to set the screen. Luka, smiling, crouched into his defensive stance. The battle lines were drawn. LeBron attacked, powering into the lane, but Luka held his ground. The ball slipped loose, rolling out of bounds. Laughter erupted from a couple of teammates, maybe nervous, maybe genuine. LeBron snapped his head toward Luka, eyes blazing.
If he wanted to be traded, is there even a market for him at this point?
You know, to be sensitive to LeBron, who's considered one of the greatest of all time, there isn't, and here's why, Dan. He's making $53 million. He's in his last year of his contract. He's 40 years old, and I talked to numerous teams yesterday and asked that same question. Would you give up basically the farm, and basically you'd have to give up 4 or 5 players to go get LeBron James for 1 year? And the unanimous answer was no, they wouldn't. Now, the stakes change a lot if LeBron James ever became a free agent and did some type of buyout in Los Angeles. There you would have 29 teams lined up for him. But from a trade perspective, and here's a hypothetical, his former team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are in this second apron and have spent a lot of money, they would basically have to trade about 6 players, Dan, just to go out and get him for 1 year. And as one team told me, that's not smart business.
Here's the fundamental truth about the Lakers. Obviously, we spend a lot of time talking about LeBron James because he's one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player to ever play basketball. He's going to go down in history for all of these accomplishments that nobody's probably ever going to match. The amount of time he's played, the productive career he's had to the point where he's now in his 40s and we're still talking about him as an All-NBA player. But the truth is, for the first time in his career, I was at Madison Square Garden on the Saturday night in late January when the Lakers stunned the world and traded for Luka Dončić. Did it right after they beat the Knicks. It was one of their best wins of the season. Saw Rich Paul after the game. LeBron and AD were there after the game. Or AD wasn't there. He was hurt, but LeBron was there. Lakers are feeling great. AD was coming back from an injury soon. Lakers are feeling really good about their team. The moment the Lakers made that trade, the LeBron James era in Los Angeles ended, and the Luka Dončić era began. And everything they've done since then has been geared toward having a team built around Luka Dončić. 3 or 4 days later, they made a trade for Mark Williams to get Luka Dončić, the lob threat center that he has had so much success with in his career. Now, they immediately rescinded that trade because they didn't like the physical on Mark Williams and said we didn't want to actually get him anymore. But the action there was clear. We want to get a piece that fits with Luka Dončić going forward. That is the priority for what the Lakers are trying to do. What they have done since then is, again, to look forward to 2026 when Luka Dončić will either be a free agent on July 1st of 26 or he will have extended his contract on August 2nd, a month from now. So everything we're talking about here with LeBron, to Brian's point, the fact he's on an expiring contract, that's the best thing that the Lakers could have.
You think this is your team? LeBron barked, his voice echoing across the gym. Luka didn't flinch. He just smirked, wiping sweat from his forehead. That's what they told me, he replied, his accent thick but his words sharp as knives. They said it's time for the Lakers to have a future, not a past. The gym went silent. Coaches froze. Players stared, wide-eyed. Bronny immediately stepped forward, his face red with anger. Watch your mouth, Bronny growled, shoving Luka lightly in the chest. Luka stepped back, not intimidated but annoyed. Kid, stay out of this, Luka shot back, dismissing Bronny with a wave of his hand. That was the match that lit the fire. LeBron stormed forward, pointing a finger directly in Luka's face. You don't talk to my son like that. You don't disrespect me. You hear me? I built this league. I built the Lakers' name back into relevance. You just walked into a house I made. Luka didn't back down. His voice rose, his calm demeanor finally cracking. And now it's my house. You think the league stops for you? You think the Lakers belong to you forever? They wanted me. They chose me. That's reality, old man. Gasps filled the gym. Old man. 2 words that cut deeper than anything else. LeBron's pride, his identity, his legacy, all attacked in front of his son, in front of his teammates, in front of the very organization that had built statues for legends before him. Bronny lost it. He lunged at Luka, shoving him harder this time, screaming, "You don't get to talk to my dad like that. You don't get to act like you own this team." Teammates rushed in, holding Bronny back, while LeBron and Luka stood chest to chest, eyes locked, neither willing to blink. The coaches tried to intervene, pleading for calm, But it was too late. This wasn't about basketball anymore. This was about pride, about legacy, about two worlds colliding, the fading empire of King James and the rising star of Luka Dončić. For LeBron, the insult wasn't just about being called old. It was about being replaced, about the whispers he had heard in the front office hallways, that Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss were looking ahead, that they were tired of mortgaging the future for the last of LeBron's present. Luka was young. Luka was a long-term investment. Luka was everything LeBron no longer was, the future. And for Bronny, it wasn't just about basketball. It was about family, about defending the father who had carried him, who had fought for him to be drafted, who had sacrificed everything to share the court with him. Luka had crossed a line, not just as a teammate, but as a man disrespecting the James name.
I want to sit up here on national television. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do something I normally don't do, Wendy. I'm going to stand for this.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh. He's fired up today.
And I'm going to make a proposal to LeBron James.
Oh, God.
To virtually guarantee him a trip to the NBA Finals, if not a championship. This is the move. Now, if LeBron James wants to put himself in position to win a championship, get traded to the New York Knicks. Center stage, Madison Square Garden, the Mecca. You see that defense? LBJ, baby, what's up? It's orange and blue skies, baby. Let me tell you something right now. I know you're a billionaire already, but damn it, that dude Dolan, no matter how bad he could be in other areas, he know how to make you money. Kevin Durant made that mistake by not coming to Madison Square Garden. He went to Barclays Center in Brooklyn. LeBron James, what's up? You talk about championship, baby. The Eastern Conference, Giannis and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in Boston.
The shouting continued. LeBron's booming voice rattled the rafters. You don't get to erase me. You don't get to take what I built. I'm not done yet, Luka fired back, his own voice shaking with anger. Then prove it. Stop talking about the past and show me now. The altercation nearly turned physical, but teammates held both men apart. Teammates, silent all practice, stepped in as the mediator. Enough, one said, his own frustration boiling over. We're supposed to be chasing a championship, not tearing each other apart. But his words barely registered. The damage was done. The media didn't need to be in the gym to hear about it. Within hours, the story was everywhere. LeBron James, Bronny James, and Luka Dončić in heated practice altercation. Talk shows lit up. First Take, every sports podcast in America. It was the lead story. The debate raged. Was LeBron being selfish, clinging to a throne that no longer belonged to him? Or was Luka arrogant, disrespecting a legend who deserved reverence? And where did Bronny fit in? Was he protecting his father or just adding fuel to a fire the Lakers couldn't afford? Behind closed doors, the Lakers' front office was in panic mode. This was supposed to be a seamless transition, a passing of the torch. Instead, it had become a battlefield. And with trade rumors swirling, LeBron to Dallas, Giannis to LA, Bronny packaged alongside his father, the altercation only magnified the instability. Could the Lakers really build around Luka if the locker room was fractured? Could LeBron swallow his pride and accept a secondary role? Could Bronny find his footing in a league that suddenly saw him as a pawn in his father's chess match? As the sun set that evening, LeBron sat in the locker room, staring at the floor, sweat dripping, chest still heaving. Across the room, Luka tied his shoes calmly, refusing to look his way. Bronny sat between them, head down, fists still clenched. No words were spoken. The silence was louder than the argument itself. One thing was clear. The Lakers weren't just fighting opponents anymore. They were fighting themselves. And in that war, there could only be one king.